Hi, and welcome to Danish Palms. My name is Martin, I'm an artist from Denmark, and once again you are watching a new episode of Miniature Build. So, as you probably have seen in the info, we are today talking about the table vise. Table vise is a tool that is must-have for all or every workshop. It is a tool that is created to hold things such as wood, plastic, metal, aluminum, and what not to put into it. So today's journey is me trying to recreate the table vise in miniature shape. That means that it has to be pretty small, and I will try my best to get it to look like the real thing. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride, guys. So once again, we are building in styrene. You heard me right, guys. The magical plastic that you can do so much with. It's amazing. You just have to put your mind into it and nothing can stop you. So the first piece you saw me work on was a styrene hollow square rod. By the way, guys, if you want my channel to grow and you want to see more amazing stuff in the future for me to provide to all of you guys out there, please leave a like, share and subscribe, guys, and allow me to use my imagination to create more content for you in the future. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. And let's continue with the video. So here's a really flat piece of styrene, been cut in length from a styrene sheet. I'm gonna use my ruler and I'm gonna cut it to size that I want, because all of these smaller pieces of styrene, I am gonna use them for patching the holes in the bigger piece that I work on, so the table vise looks like it's solid. Measuring and get the piece to fit. I use my black marker to mark the piece so I know where to cut. After that, I'm gonna use the ruler once again because I want a precise cut, using the Stanley knife to get it done. After that, I'm gonna use some super glue, and here you see me once again use a toothpick. You wanna be so much more in control with a toothpick when you're dealing with super glue, and you don't want it anywhere else than on your object that you work on. So after that, attaching the smaller piece of styrene on the objects and using the black marker once again to get a bunch of smaller pieces. Some more super glue attached to the basic structure of the table vise that I'm building here. So you see me take this small piece and put it on to the next spot. And from there we are going to work all the way. Here's a solid flat piece of styrene. I'm going to use 100 grit sandpaper, pretty rough, because we are going to sand it and shape it so it fits precise for the hole that we are trying to patch. And after the piece is fit perfect, I'm going to use a black marker to cut the length of the piece. Since we don't need to cover up the whole area entirely, then we only need a little piece, so we have some free space for the other parts to move. After that, I'm gonna press the piece into place and give it some more super glue just to be strong enough to hold. And here's the second piece. If you remember, these two flat solid pieces that we were super glued, we put it in a clamp to cure. After that, it's solid as a rock, and that is the part we need to work with. Get it through the first piece and work it from there. And then I'm gonna use the clamp again to hold the first part after been gluing the tiny piece in the hole. Get that one to cure, and after that we are going to move on and work on the round rod. I cut 2 round pieces, so I have a test piece. If something is going wrong, I can always use the other one. But right now I'm trying to figure out where to cut it, where to sand it, and where to make my shape. Therefore I'm gonna use my black marker to put some lines so I have an idea where to cut the piece. After been cutting the piece and using some files to get the shape after the lines I put on the piece, it looks something like this. And now it's time to take the main part and sand it down for all these extra sharp edges there is on after we glue all of these small pieces on and patched it up. So now we are going to sand it down so get all the edges real smooth and also the sides. Using a 100 grit sandpaper, and after that smoothing it even more with 600 grit. Testing if there's any flaws or any sharp edges. Looks good to me, it's smoothed. And now let's work a little more on the part that needs to go on the flat piece that we just tested through the square hole. We need to take off a little more of the material. So right now I'm looking at this piece, it's still not yet there. Therefore I'm using my black marker, putting some new lines so I know where to dig or take even more out of the material. After a lot of guiding lines with the marker, I'm gonna put a dot here in the bottom, and that is where I'm gonna drill the hole to put in the steel rods. Because that section will be together with the lower section that we just tested through the square hole before, and these 2 pieces are going to come together as one unit. I'm gonna apply some super glue on the steel rods, and we are going to press it into the hole that I drilled. I'm gonna press it all the way into the bottom, and since the steel rod is way too long, I'm gonna use the plier to cut it to the size that I need. More super glue to the board. Then I'm going to use my toothpick and cover up the surface of the piece. And I'm going to make sure that the super glue is going to cover the tiny length of the steel rods. After that, I'm going to pressure the piece into the lower section, the flat piece that we have, and make sure that both of these pieces come together as one unit. And now it's time for building more on the bigger part. And I'm going to attach some super glue to the flat surface. After that, I'm gonna put on some smaller pieces, layer by layer, and find the shape that I want or what I'm looking for. And when it's done, I'm gonna use a file to create the shape that I need for it to look even more correct. So here, I'm gonna start the work with a flat, small file. I'm gonna take off the sharp edges and the corners. And then I'm gonna end it with a round, small file. After been filing quite some time with these different types of files, from the flat ones to the small round ones, getting rid of all these sharp edges and corners, then it's time to make the base of the table vise using a styrene rod, round solid one on 10 millimeters in size. To finish this round piece of styrene for the base, I decided to go with a rough 100 grit sandpaper, and after that smoothing it out with a 600 grit sand block. And here I'm using the black marker to put small dots so I know where to drill, because in reality you need to mount it on your table with some bolts and screws. That's exactly what comes out from this tiny styrene rod that we cut on the cutter. After that, I'm gonna use some super glue to mount on the base and attach the other parts of the table vise. After been gluing the upper section of the table vise to the base, I'm gonna use some super glue and mount these small ball heads. And here I'm gonna glue the knob for the table vise, the screw that actually goes all the way through the bottom section of the table vise. And the end of the knob is going to drill a hole through it so we can place the handle there. And the handle is going to be made of a steel rod. On the end is going to be small pieces of styrene. It's going to indicate the handle for the table vise. Because if you don't have a handle for a table vise, you will not even be able to screw it forth and back and attach the materials that you need to work on. And here's the steel rod that I cut with a plier to get the length that I need. I'm gonna attach some super glue in the end, and then I'm gonna put on the smaller pieces of styrene that I cut from the cutter. After that, I'm gonna attach some super glue and attach the last piece for the handle. And ladies and gentlemen, now is the act to use the Vallejo gray primer. And I decided to go with a brush this time instead of spraying it with the spray gun. And after the priming is finished, I decided to go with a metal gray tone. And side of that, I'm gonna use some deep blue color, mix it up with the metal gray tone to get that really deep and shiny metal blue that I was looking for. I'm gonna paint all the parts in that amazing blue color that we just mixed. And guys, be careful when you paint around small bits and pieces, especially this metal handlebar. Guys, if you're painting small things, doesn't matter what it is, just be consistent about it, be concentrated, don't feel stressed about it. If that's the case, take some time off, put it away, and then come back again and finish the job with a happy mind. And now guys, time for dry painting. I'm gonna use a sky blue color. It's a lot more light blue than the other. I'm gonna take my small dry painting brush this time. I'm gonna dip it into the paint and I'm gonna dry it off on the cardboard that I have here on my table. Then it's just simple to take the brush, go forth and back in straight lines or circle if you want to do that. Then all the small details that you're gonna hit with the brush, it's gonna pop even more and get all these details to come alive. And it's 100% worth it, guys. It's some of the most fun things to do when you're painting. And we are done. Really amazing. I'm really happy about it. After giving this dry painting, it really popped and I like it so much, guys. By the way, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Bye.